Hi, my name's Shelley Sullivan, and I'm an in-house lawyer at a private investment management company. I'll talk a bit more about exactly what that means and what I do in my role in a little while. But for now, I'll say that I really enjoy what I do because I like interacting with people, solving problems, and I like doing a variety of different things in my job, which my current role definitely provides me. Never a dull moment. So, first, I wanted to talk a little bit about my journey and how I ended up where I am today, as I did not necessarily take the traditional path of completing college and going straight through to law school and then working for a law firm. Instead, I took some detours along the way. So, if we go all the way back to when I was a kid, I talked about wanting to be a number of different things, including an ambassador, because I thought living and working in foreign countries sounded appealing. But I also talked about wanting to be a lawyer. And I'm sure the kind of lawyer that I was envisioning was a litigator making dramatic courtroom appearances, which is not the kind of law I practice today. But the seed about becoming a lawyer was planted with me a long time ago. But I had plenty of different jobs prior to starting my legal career. In high school and college, I babysat, I worked in restaurants. After college, I worked for medical school in their MD PhD admissions office. I worked for an international program at a health system. And then during law school, because I attended the evening program, I worked at an organization that handles visas for medical students that come to the US to complete residency and fellowship training. I graduated from American University in Washington, D.C. with a degree in international studies, and I took Japanese while I was there. And then I went to Temple University Law School after working in some of those jobs I just described for a couple of years. I started out in the evening program, working during the day and going to law school at night. But then in my second year, I interviewed for summer associate positions, and I got some offers and ended up taking one, and decided to leave my job at that point so that I could work at a firm for the summer. So I ended up finishing law school full time during the day after that summer. I did a study abroad program in Tokyo and worked for part-time for a Japanese law firm during law school. So that was just an awesome experience and something I would recommend. And then after law school, I worked at the firm for which I did my summer associate program. That was actually that summer associate program led to my job after law school. I worked at a large global full service law firm in Philadelphia for 4 years in their corporate group. It was called Business and Finance at the time. And it was a great place to start my legal career. I got lots of experience and made a lot of connections with different people. And since then, I've been working as an in-house lawyer for a company called Berwind Corporation for the last 14 years. Okay, so I'm going to take a step back and just talk a little bit about education and what you need to do to become a lawyer. So, in order to practice law, you need to complete college, you need to complete law school, pass the bar exam. So, in order to be admitted to law school, you generally need to complete the LSAT, the law school admission test. As I mentioned, law school can be completed on a full-time basis. That's a 3-year commitment in which you're taking classes during the day, or on a part-time basis, it's typically a 4-year commitment in which classes are taken in the evening to allow students to work during the day. So is law school hard? Question that I've been asked many times. Well, it definitely requires commitment. There's a lot of reading, a lot of studying, but it's well worth it. And I have such positive memories from law school that it's almost hard to remember the sacrifices that I had to make at times to get everything done. So the bar exam. The bar exam is a 2-day exam that includes multiple choice and essay questions, and it's not anything that anybody enjoys. It's just a rite of passage, something to just get through. So after you complete all of these requirements and become a practicing lawyer, you need to complete a required number of CLE or continuing legal education credits per year in order to maintain your license. So learning is continuous throughout your legal career. So at some point before you've graduated, you would have spent time trying to figure out what kind of lawyer you want to be and how to get the job you want. Lawyers can be described in, or legal jobs can be described in a couple different ways. You can think of putting them in sort of three buckets. So litigators that you might think of as courtroom lawyers, transactional lawyers, which you might typically think of a corporate lawyer. And then there's lots of different specialty practices, including intellectual property lawyers, tax lawyers, and many others. So you could think about getting a job in private practice, which would mean working for a private law firm or for a company, or pursuing a career in government or in nonprofit setting. It can be competitive to get the job you want, but a strong academic record helps. Participation in law school activities also helps, including legal journals such as Law Review. And internships definitely help. And as I mentioned, that is how I got my job after law school. So my current position is Assistant General Counsel of Berwind Corporation. And I'm just going to take a moment to show you. So this is my office downtown. And I also wanted to just take a moment to show you my office at home, which is where I'm spending lots of time right now due to COVID. Okay. So working in-house for a company means that I'm part of a law department at the company I work for. And our law department services different global businesses in different industries that my company owns. So these businesses are our clients, and different of the lawyers support different of the businesses. So in addition to working with our clients, we work with the other departments at our company, such as say the tax department. For example, if one of the companies I support wants to form a new entity in a foreign jurisdiction, I might work with the tax department in doing so. If there's a claim that that we either want to make or that is brought against one of our companies, I might work with our risk management department. They're responsible for the insurance program for our companies. So it's my job to provide legal solutions and advice to the management teams of the companies for which I act as legal counsel. I've acted as legal counsel for several of the companies over my 14-year tenure. And at the moment, I'm counsel for one of our large companies. My job includes being proactive and identifying potential legal risk to the business. I need to be able to react quickly to issues, some of which can escalate into being a crises. I have to be a generalist, and there's a lot that I do myself, but for certain matters, I need to rely on the advice of outside lawyers who are specialists in particular areas. So just to give you a bit of a sampling of what I do, as an in-house lawyer, I'm involved with contract negotiation. So I draft agreements that our company may want to propose to an outside party. Sometimes we're not that lucky to be able to propose our own document, and I need to review and revise and negotiate documents that come in from, say, the other side. So either a customer or a supplier, for example. And in conducting negotiations, I need to be able to stand my ground on critical issues, and be willing to compromise on others in order to get us across the finish line with a deal that both parties can live with. I'm involved with disputes and litigation. So if a claim is brought against one of our companies, or we are pursuing another company, I will handle that until the point at which an actual complaint is filed. And at that point, we will bring in an outside litigator to primarily handle the matter, and I'll be overseeing the matter. And I'll be liaison between our outside lawyer and our in-house management team, and be giving direction. with respect to those litigation matters. Real estate is another area. I review and negotiate lease agreements. If one of the companies is interested in expanding a particular site, I'd work on a design build or other, contract with the construction company. I get involved in all sorts of employment issues. All sorts of issues relating to employees and employee benefits. That might include drafting an employment agreement for the hiring of a member of the senior management team. It might also mean advising on the closure of a particular site and providing support in connection with maybe some terminations that may go along with the closure of such site. I am responsible for overseeing the intellectual property portfolio for the companies for which I provide support. So although I am not an IP lawyer by trade, I can provide some advice, but I do rely on outside patent and trademark lawyers who are specialists in the field to get involved when the need arises. Compliance is a whole other huge area. There's all sorts of laws that companies need to comply with, and some of it depends on the kind of industry that they're in. And I get involved with helping to put together policies to ensure compliance, as well as training on certain topics to ensure that employees understand their responsibilities. And if we sell a company for which I'm the lawyer, and that's happened several times during my tenure, I'm heavily involved in the diligence, which basically just means answering questions that the buyer's counsel may have with respect to historical and current legal issues that the company that we're selling has dealt with. So I wanted to talk a little bit about skills and traits that that could be useful for such a position. It's important to be able to see the big picture, but still pay attention to detail and not get lost in the detail. It's important to be able to be flexible and sometimes creative to come up with options for your clients. Responsiveness is a must, as there are quite frequently time-sensitive issues that arise. Very important, particularly in the in-house setting, I think, to be a team player and have a customer service work ethic toward your clients. And it's also very important to be resourceful. I don't always have, all the answers, but I need to be able to find the answer and find some options for my client. And I attribute some of the resourcefulness that I've developed to my travel experiences. I'm a big traveler. I've been to lots of countries and had some wonderful experiences. And but I still have a long bucket list of things I want to do and places I want to visit. And I think it's sometimes helpful when you're up against a difficult task to remind yourself of maybe just one thing you've accomplished in the past that inspires you and helps push you forward. And I always come back to my experience reaching the peak of Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, which is the highest peak in Africa. And I wanted to share a quick photo of me back in, 1997, I believe. Let me just stop sharing for a second. This is something that I reflect on sometimes if I'm just up against a difficult task. I just sort of remind myself, just push forward. You reached the peak of Kilimanjaro. It was really hard to get there, but so worth the effort, and something I've never forgotten. So anyway, I use it as a little bit of inspiration when I need to from time to time to get over any particular hurdle that I might be facing. You have to be comfortable with writing. Luckily, that's a skill I've never had a lot of trouble with, but that is something that, and it's not always, 30-page documents. I'm writing lots and lots of emails. But as lawyers, we need to be careful with what we say and when we give advice, whether it's in an email format, a letter format, or whatever other method. Ability to multitask is a big plus. And being able to be assertive and persuasive is also very important. When we need to be analytical, we need to, of course, see our position, support our position, but anticipate the other party's position to try to keep a step ahead of them. And lastly, and I think this is something that it's very important, but it develops over time, is the ability to be viewed as a trusted advisor to your clients. I mean, in order to do that, you have to be able to connect with people. So wanted to turn to just a couple positives and negatives about my particular role. I am never bored. There's such a broad range of issues that come up that I'm always learning new things and developing my skills. I work with a lot of smart professional people whom I respect, and I really like being part of the team. Negative, sometimes it's challenging because I have to deliver bad news, like an unfavorable outcome in a dispute or litigation matter, or the result of a negotiation that didn't go our way. And sometimes I have to disagree with the direction management wants to take on something because of the legal risks involved. It's not my job to always say yes. And so that can be challenging. It's also, and it ebbs and flows, but it's busy. There's lots going on. And so, I embrace busy. I think it's a good thing. But, also emergencies can happen, and they can happen at any time. I've taken my laptop with me into the Magic Kingdom with my kids in the midst of a crisis. I've been spotted standing on a street corner in downtown Philadelphia with my laptop in one hand, open, and on a call because an important issue just urgently cropped up. So, I think, having a can-do attitude and being willing to do what it takes to support the businesses is what can lead to being successful in such an in-house position. So I want to leave you with a little bit of advice, 4 things that I would advise. 1, talk to lots of people in the field to get a better sense of the kinds of legal positions and that are available. I didn't really do that much of that until I was doing my summer associate position. And it was fine, but I was sitting in the labor and employment group because that's what I thought I wanted to do until I got more exposed to what the folks in the corporate group did. And so I was able to make that switch, and that was the group I ultimately joined after I graduated from law school and joined the firm. But I could have learned a bit more if I had talked to more people ahead of time. It's important to network. You never know what kind of connections are going to end up helping you make a connection or may help open a door for you in the future. So talk to lots of people. Be confident. My on-campus interview with the firm that I was most interested in was the very last slot of the day. I will never forget it. The calendar for the day, everything got so backed up that I was extremely late. There was nothing I could do about it, but I was about 30 minutes late. I ran in, all disheveled and nervous. And I just sort of had to rise above it because, this was my shot to make an impression. And I remember just thinking that, you just got to drop how shaken you are about being so late and everything else, and just, and just be confident. So that's my second point of advice, is be confident, because if I could do it, in that circumstance, and the interviewers waited and were gracious and allowed me to have my full amount of time for my interview, and I was so relieved, and it went well. But I think if I didn't take a step back and reflect on the fact that I needed to exude some confidence here, even though I wasn't feeling confident, and it paid off. So talk to lots of people in the field and be confident. Third, find a mentor, one or more mentors, people that you trust to give you advice. When I received multiple offers to do summer associate programs. I discussed them with my mentor. I did have a mentor who I got linked up with through Temple, through a group within Temple. And I went through all the pros and cons, and, was really sort of struggling a bit with, I'm not sure what to do, even though, one firm I did feel would probably be the best fit for me. And I've been forever grateful that she listened to what I had to say. And then she said, you know what? It's not very often in life that somebody tells you what to do, but I've been practicing a long time and I'm going to tell you what to do. And you should take this position. And that's where you should start your career. And I chose to take her advice. And I was very grateful for her unwavering and persuasive position. And lastly, don't be afraid to share your life experiences and keep making time for outside hobbies and adventures as they contribute to the person that you become. And you can use those experiences in different ways in your legal career. Find your Mount Kilimanjaro, and use it to help you when you need a little push. Part of the reason that I got the job that I have now, even though I had heard through the grapevine that I was less experienced as a lawyer than the person that I was sort of up against, was that the company took into consideration the skills that I had developed from my other life and work experiences, and that leveled the playing field and gave me an opportunity. So even though, I didn't go right from college to law school, to a firm, it counted. The other, jobs that I had and life experiences I had between college and law school were taken into consideration. And so don't be afraid to share your experiences because they may help you. And it helped me. So thank you for your attention. I wish you all the best in your career search.